application for iOS or Android. Intel
Hello everyone and welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. I am Noleen Abel-Ameh. We begin the news by telling you that lawmakers have been speaking on the 2021 budget proposal presented by President Buhari to the joint session of the National Assembly. National Assembly correspondent Vivian Idepefo reports that some of the view that the completion of ongoing infrastructural projects will go a long way in promoting the country's economic diversification drive.
Posed by the coronavirus pandemic, many said had slowed down the implementation of the 2020 budget, but expressed the hope that the projections in the 2021 budget will make a difference.
For the first time, I'm hearing the president of the country say we are going to fix interest for small-scale industries. What does that imply? It means that the socio-economic activities and the economic small-scale industry will be encouraged.
We need to create an enabling environment for business to thrive. And for us to do that, infrastructure is key. Power is uppermost. And I thank God that He has placed power as a priority.
If we have electricity, a lot of things are going to work. Employment, you'll be able to solve the issue of employment.
The lawmakers are optimistic about meeting the deadline of passing the budget before the end of 2020.
Wherever it is okay, we'll leave it the way it is. And wherever we think there's need for little adjustment, that is the purpose of the National Assembly there. We'll come together and put it there and then represent it back to the National Assembly for approval.
I believe you have heard, Mr. President, urging the National Assembly in their oversight functions during the process of budget defense, not only to scrutinize the expenditure part of the budget, but to look at the revenue side as well.
The 2021 budget proposal is tagged Budget of Economic Recovery and Resilience. From the National Assembly, Vivian Idepefo, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has been commended for the early presentation of the 2021 budget estimates to the National Assembly for passage. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria, while speaking on the 2021 budget proposals, say the budget assumptions were generally okay and reasonably conservative. They, however, noted the challenges around the gross domestic product, GDP, which they said the federal government's projected growth rate of 3% in 2021 might be difficult to achieve in view of the impact of COVID-19 on the economy, which is expected to linger till next year. Alika Opanacharua reports.
Guest on Good Morning Nigeria says presenting the budget proposal in good time will allow the National Assembly sufficient time to consider and pass the appropriation bill.
The budget has come to us as estimates. Even when we pass the budget, even when the appropriation bill becomes law, they remain estimates. This is because there must always be vagaries.
There's a need to always get those who crafted the budget in the first place to explain why they need, the allocations that were, that are given.
They'll be making it participatory.
The guests also maintained that the exchange rate of 379 naira to the dollar was unrealistic due to the ongoing process of unifying exchange rates across all foreign exchange windows by the Central Bank of Nigeria.
There is much to be done, especially in allocation to general infrastructures development for this country.
I think more interesting is the philosophical undercurrents of the budget. Budget of economic recovery, of strengthening resilience, and of course social inclusion.
They also said a second critical look should be taken to note areas of strengthening and adjustments in the budget. In Abuja, Alika Opanachi, Arwa, NTA News.
110 billion naira has been allocated to agriculture in the 2021 fiscal year. This is contained in the budget proposal presented to the legislature by the executive for consideration and approval. Musa Baba Aliu takes a look at the budget as it affects the agricultural sector of the economy.
Since 2018, when 203 billion naira was allocated to agriculture, other allocations to the sector have been within the range of 107 and 110 billion naira. Even when the 2020 budget was revised, allocation to agriculture was left untouched. Available information from the Federal Ministry of Agriculture shows that more than 60% of the budget has been released to the ministry.
We are contented first with what we have been allocated because we realize the circumstances surrounding
budget. There have been significant improvement in the country's agricultural drive.
We are also accelerating the construction of 337 rural roads around key agricultural corridors to enhance access to market and reduce post-harvest losses. These efforts have reduced the adverse impact of coronavirus on our food availability, prices, and security.
Food security, which is the second SDG goal, should be satisfied by increasing the money that is available for us to do agricultural production. And with that, we will be able to feed conveniently, have food security, and have safety.
For the 2021 budget, the President directed the Ministry of Agriculture to facilitate integrated crops value chains, livestock development and extension services, among other developmental projects. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliu, NTA News.
Global GDP is projected to rise from around $121 trillion in 2019 to more than $258 trillion in 2045, based on 2011 purchasing power parity. This is contained in the 2020 World Oil Outlook 2045 by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC. Despite a huge drop in 2020, OPEC forecast that global primary energy demands will continue growing in the medium and long term. Leah Katunba Batunde completes the report.
Experts continue to look at post-COVID-19 situations around the world. OPEC says the global economy in 2045 will be more than double the size it was in 2019. Global primary energy demand is forecast to increase from 289 million barrels of oil equivalent per day in 2019 to 361 in 2045, representing an average growth rate of 0.9% per annum over the forecast period. In the 25 years projections, oil will remain the fuel with the largest share of the global energy mix, assuming that the COVID-19 pandemic is largely overcome by next year. Oil demand is projected to partly recover in 2021. OPEC in the outlook says natural gas will be the fastest growing fossil fuel between 2019 and 2045, and coal will be the only primary fuel for which demand declines between 2019 and 2045, and this is as a result of shutdowns and replacement of coal-fired power plants in the OECD region, coupled with the introduction of more energy-efficient technologies in developing regions as carbon abatement is prioritized. Oil demand growth is expected to recover during the medium term. Annual increments will be relatively high, especially in 2022 and 2023. In the long term, oil demand is projected to reach 109.1 million barrels per day by 2045. However, global oil demand will plateau during the second half of the outlook period. Cumulative oil-related investment requirements over the long term will be $12.6 trillion. Asia-Pacific remains the most important crude oil importing region throughout the forecast period, with imports rising more than 6 million barrels per day. OPEC's world outlook is part of the organization's commitment to market stability. Leah Katung Babatunde, NTA News.
Our report just reaching us says President Muhammadu Buhari has ordered the interim management team of the Presidential Amnesty Program of the Niger Delta to effectively utilize the instrumentality of the peace-building infrastructure towards guaranteeing the desired security and stability for enhanced socio-economic development in the region. Granting audience to the new interim administrator of the program, retired Colonel Milan Dixon Dikyo, the President insists that sustainable livelihood must be given to the ex-agitators as peaceful members of the society and net contributors to the economy. Details will come in our next bulletin. The federal government is set to unbundle the Nigeria Postal Service in an effort to reposition the agency to meet contemporary service delivery. Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Ali Pantami, at an event to mark World Post Day in Abuja, said a bill to drive the expected reforms in NIPOST is in the offing. Kelvin Ohunoye reports.
These subsidiaries are to emerge from NIPOST, Transport and Logistics Company, NIPOST Property and Development Company, and NIPOST Microfinance Bank. They are conceived to inject new life into the postal agency, which the minister says faces great challenge to remain relevant in the face of emerging technologies in mail delivery services.
The mandate and the responsibility of postal agencies goes beyond only dispatching mails.
Whatever reforms they are going to bring, we are all on board, and we really want to make sure that NIPOST becomes independent.
A compendium of 100 years of postage stamp in Nigeria was launched, documenting commemorative stamps in Nigeria's history. As the world continues to battle the COVID-19 pandemic, the Universal Postal Union Director General, Bisha Hussein, in a message to mark the day, paid tributes to millions of postal workers around the world who have braved the odds to continue to deliver the maize in difficult conditions. In Abuja, Kelvin Ewonwaye, NTA News.
From Abuja, we'll take you to Duse, where concerned by the high rate of malnourished children in Jigawa State, the Future Assured program of the First Lady Aisha Muhammadu Buhari has organized a one-day sensitization workshop on how to improve coordination, accountability, and early release of budgetary allocation to address the problem. Awal Muhammad Kazaure reports.
Global crisis and existing structures for championing nutrition being weakened, health experts believe it is critical now to come up with strategies that will protect nutritionally vulnerable groups.
We have not put this meeting to provide answers, but we have only created a platform where we can together arrive and take responsibility for workable solutions to the Nigerian challenges, nutrition challenges we are expecting.
We have to do a lot of sensitizing, but thanks to the consortium that are now helping and making a lot of headway towards the matter of nutrition.
Nutrition and malnutrition in Jigawa State is a big issue. And the Jigawa State government have been putting initiatives in place to ensure that our children grow out of malnutrition and grow healthier.
Poor health indices is one of our bottleneck because we are already having over 66% of our children being stunted, while we have fully immunized children 2%.
Speakers appreciated the First Lady for providing the platform to provide workable solution to problem of malnourished children in the society. From Dutse, Awal Muhammad Kazaure, NTA News.
And now let's talk security and politics. The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has ordered the restriction of vehicular movement from midnight this Friday, 9th of October, to 6 p.m. on Saturday, 10th of October, 2020 in Ondo State. A statement by the force indicates that the order is part of efforts to ensure effective coordination of public order and safety during the gubernatorial election. The IGP reiterates that the vehicular restriction order is aimed at preventing political actors and troublemakers from freely engaging in unpatriotic acts, circulation and use of illicit arms and hard drugs, movement of political thugs from contiguous states to Ondo State. Meanwhile, the Corps Marshal Federal Road Safety Corps, Boboye Oyemi, has ordered operatives of the Corps drafted to cover the election to ensure effective collaboration with the Nigerian police force in the enforcement of restrictions on vehicular movement. In a statement, the Corps operatives have equally been mandated to clear obstructions from the roads, carry out rescue operations in case of emergencies, maintain orderliness in polling booth, and the certification of INEC vehicles that will be used to convey electoral materials. Ondo decides this Saturday to elect governor for the next 4 years. 7 candidates are in the race. Joining us, 17 rather candidates are in the race. Joining us live from Akure is our correspondent Olajide Bello. Hi Olajide.
Hello Noleen, how are you?
All right, if you can hear me, Olajide, what can you tell us about the mood generally for the election tomorrow in Ondo State?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, the Ondo State government declared today as a work-free day so as to enable workers, those who registered outside Akure, to travel to wherever they registered and perform their civic responsibilities. I visited the park in the early hours of today. It was a beehive as some people were traveling into Akure, some were traveling out, and also the markets. People are making last-minute purchases because there would be nothing like that for them to purchase tomorrow. And also, as regards security, the town is watertight secured. And in the early hours of today, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps also added about 7,074 men were deployed for tomorrow's election. So, all things being equal, the mood here is perfect.
Oh, all right. Yes, you have talked about security. What about the movement of electoral materials from the INEC perspective? Well, we may reconnect with Olajide later on, but the news continues here in Abuja. Okay, let's go on break. We'll be back shortly. Please stay with us.
Who applied for admission into Ahmadu Bello University NTA TV College degree program in mass communication for 2020-2021 academic session are invited to a post-UTME and direct entry screening exercise scheduled as follows. Date: UTME examination. Candidates are expected to come along with the originals of their O-level certificates, JAMB slips, birth certificates, indigenship certificate and proof of payment. Direct entry candidates are expected to come along with their original diploma certificates, A-level results in addition to the other credentials mentioned above. Shortlisted candidates without O-level results will not be cleared by JAMB. Therefore, all candidates are advised to visit any JAMB office or accredited CBT center nearest to them to upload their O-level results. Wearing a face mask is compulsory for admittance into the college premises, in addition to strict observance of other COVID-19 safety protocols. Announcer, Registrar.
Yes, that's the painful effect of what corruption costs you. But what does corruption cost us all? Watch Bad Guys on NTA Network, 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. every Wednesday from the Akin Fadeyi Foundation. Bad Guys. Who are the bad guys? Join us.
Noleen, good to see you. The federal government is finalizing arrangements towards assessing the $750 million World Bank loan to revitalize businesses and cater to households affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Key players involved in the planning and implementation are meeting in Lagos to formalize modalities for the economic stimulus. Michael Olaleye reports.
The world is changing, and the coronavirus pandemic is the culprit. The global community has never been more desperate. Nigeria is, however, responding to peculiarities of the times with the launch of the Economic Sustainability Plan to revive ailing households and businesses. The $750 million World Bank loan under the Nigeria COVID-19 Action Recovery and Economic Stimulus Package (NCAS) will thus accelerate the quest for stability across multi-sectoral levels.
It will go a long way in assisting facilitation of some common facilities across the length and breadth of the country, as well as providing the much-needed support for MSMEs in retooling and upscaling their businesses.
The three resort areas of the program have 11 disbursement-linked indicators that will be used to benchmark achievement.
NCAS is a 2-year emergency intervention scheme with state governments as beneficiaries, and this meeting is to ensure that funds disbursed deliver expected results in tandem with the federal government's mandates of lifting millions of Nigerian households out of the brink of poverty.
An estimated sum of $299 million was requested for by all the 36 states and FCT in support of Resort Area 2 of the program that anchors on food security and safe functioning of food supply markets.
This is only one part of a much broader package of support that we hope to provide for Nigeria at this time of need.
The intervention will be built on existing guidelines contained in the Community and Social Development Program and Fadama Mano in terms of monitoring and implementation.
Knowledge resources developed by the project will also be disseminated to various state communities of practice.
With all major parties explaining the workability of the intervention, impediments to the design, monitoring and implementation will be addressed. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NTA News.
And as the world innovates in line with the evolving communication landscape, key players in Nigeria's postal service converged on Lagos to raise awareness on the trend of technology for enhanced delivery. Lynn Leneke reports that a series of events were organized to mark this year's World Post Day.
The 9th of October every year is World Post Day. In Nigeria, the importance of postal services in the socio-economic development cannot be overemphasized, as it represents a unique asset and a true instrument for economic growth. To this end, the Nigerian Postal Service is redoubling its efforts and commitments towards attaining international standards. This was a thrust at the 2020 World Post Day celebration. Stakeholders deliberated on ways to chart a new course in the industry.
You can see the effort of the Federal Minister of Communication to unbundle NIPOST into 3 distinct ventures that will directly address issues in the national economy.
Post has gone beyond mail, that you can stay at home and monitor the way they are sending your parcels, your mails, and all of that.
Virtually improved, significantly from what it used to be before in the past.
It's a bit faster than what it used to be. There's still room for improvement.
Zonal Manager, Nigerian Postal Service, NIPOST, Michael Umo, stated that among new techniques is the use of bubble wrap, which will go a long way in protecting customers' items. He therefore advised customers to desist from patronizing scammers who request their tracking code and demand payment into personal accounts.
Shopping online cannot bring you this parcel to your doorstep. It is we, the post office, that is still carrying the parcel to the destinations.
Digital methods have replaced mailing system, and the Nigerian Postal Service says its operations align with the new scheme. In Lagos, Lynn Leneke, NTA News.
And that's it from here for now. Noleen, is back to you.
Thank you so much, Adiola. Earlier on, we established contact with Olajide Bello in Ondo, and he has briefed us on what is happening there as regards preparations for the Ondo election tomorrow. He has talked to us on the security situation, and now we are connecting back to Olajide. Olajide, if you can hear me, earlier on you told us about the security operatives on ground and so on and so forth. And I ask you, how about the INEC movement of INEC materials? What are the preparations on ground concerning that?
Thank you very much, Noleen. And just like I said earlier, the materials have moved from the CBN office here in Akure to the 18 local government areas of Ondo State. And the recent report we had from one of the local governments here in Ondo State, which is Ilaje local government, is that the non-sensitive and sensitive materials are being moved now from the local governments to the various polling units. And that is the latest update we have as regards movement of INEC non-sensitive and sensitive materials.
All right, Olajide, what about the mood of the people? How prepared are they for the election tomorrow?
All right, thank you very much. The mood is very, very warm, as I spoke to a few persons in the early hours of today too, who went for, last-minute shoppings. They are optimistic of having a free, fair and credible elections tomorrow, and they are eager to even vote. And what they say is like been spurring them is the conduct of INEC during the Edo elections, which they are hoping for a replica or a more better performance by the electoral umpire in tomorrow's election. So they are keeping their fingers crossed and are hoping for a smooth electoral process come tomorrow.
So we hope so, Olajide. Thank you so much for your input on nationwide as regards to Ondo election. Meanwhile, the NTA transmission election studio will open at 5:30 this evening. Please stay with the NTA. Now, moving on, a South African President and Chairperson of the African Union, Cyril Ramaphosa, has congratulated Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala on her advancement to the third and final stage of the selection process for the position of the Director General of the World Trade Organization. Adebola Brucelin Sunday has the report.
On behalf of the African Union,
President Cyril described Dr. Okonjo-Iweala as a highly distinguished African who has excelled in various public offices in Nigeria, the AU, World Bank, and other international assignments. The chairperson encouraged all member states of the African Union to rally round Dr. Okonjo-Iweala during the final round of nominations, which will see for the first time in the history of the World Trade Organization the appointment of a female Director General, and most likely and preferably one coming from the African continent. WTO female candidates, Nigeria Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala and South Korea's Yoo Moon-hee, entered the final round of the race to become the new Director General of the World Trade Organization. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala and Yoo Moon-hee advanced to the third and final stage of the consultations. Other 6 contestants were ruled out of further competition. Roberto Azevedo's successor is expected to be selected by November 7 under an agreed elimination process based on consensus. Adebola Brucelin Sunday, NTA News.
I'm still talking politics as Nigerians look forward to the 2023 general elections. A group of women in politics are advocating inclusion in key offices and adequate security for women during and after the elections. This was their plea to the government at a forum on women and governance in Abuja. Elizabeth Omori reports.
The intentions of women towards development and policy making, political analysts say, will give women the platform to leverage on as they advocate 35% affirmative action. To this end, coalition of young female candidates believe investment in capacity building for women will facilitate an increase in female engagement in politics and governance.
We want to advise INEC that they have improved, that they should please improve more on the aspect of women, and by also using electronic voting and making sure that ballot papers are not snatched. Once ballot papers are not snatched, vote buying will be eliminated.
Religion, ethnicity, illiteracy, and insecurity are factors highlighted, mitigating the full participation of women in politics.
If the men who we expect to support us do not give us that support, I'm not seeing the women going more than where we are right now.
We like our women to come out and contest to fill the gap we are having.
They called for an open dialogue between political parties and women groups for female engagement in politics across board, proper collation of data for women population, as well as societal support for women inclusion in governance. In Abuja, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Muhammad Musa Bello, has directed the reopening of all schools within the territory on Sunday, 11th October 2020 for boarding students and Monday, 12th October for day students. The minister made the disclosure while briefing the media in Abuja. Shaibu Nozeaku reports.
Following the directive by the Federal Ministry of Education that all states should work out modalities for safe reopening of schools and the guidelines by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, the FCT administration, after stakeholders' engagement, has concluded arrangements for the safe reopening of FCT schools from Sunday the 11th October for boarding students and Monday 12th October for day students.
We have come to the conclusion that it is relatively safe for us to open up the schools in the FCT.
Meanwhile, the Committee on Reopening of FCT Schools has given guidelines ahead of the resumption.
The Committee on Reopening of Schools and the Department of Quality Assurance under the Education Secretariat will work together by undertaking regular evaluation of all schools in the FCT and embark on inspection and monitoring of schools to ensure strict compliance.
Top management staff of the FCT Education and Health Secretariats attended the briefing. Shuaibu Onozeyakubu, NTA News.
And still on education, ahead of the official resumption date of schools on the 12th of October 2020 in Cross River State, head teachers, deputy head teachers and principals of public primary and secondary schools are undergoing training on the response and management of COVID-19 pandemic. Paul Abel reports that the educators are being exposed to infectious diseases prevention and control protocols in order to save lives.
Children are tender and most times may not be careful in handling health protocols. Hence, the need for extra care on the part of teachers to prevent the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic when schools resume in Cross River State. The state government, on its part, insists that these administrators must make available all basic requirements, isolate children with suspected symptoms, contact the response team, avoid elaborate public gatherings, provide data for contact tracing, protect themselves and the students.
We're also teaching them the protocol which they must observe every single day and what they're expected to do as our kids go back to school. It's important that they continue to ensure that all the basic safety measures are put in place.
Private teachers have been trained earlier, while training for the 3 senatorial districts of the state have been slated for different dates. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
An appraisal of experience garnered by stakeholders during the COVID-19 lockdown has formed the basis for advocacy on inclusion of innovation in the fight against COVID-19 in Nigeria. Ikechukundukwe reports.
On the novel nature of the COVID-19 virus and the response from government, stakeholders and indeed all Nigerians, an appraisal revealed certain challenges faced by stakeholders trying to contain the virus during the lockdown.
The first was belief system. Is this real? Then I'm sure we all knew of when it was trending. Is it malaria?
We got to, I think I borrowed about also, nobody was wearing face masks. So we turned around to quickly enforce compliance. And we saw everybody put on face masks in less than 1 minute.
One of the gains the pandemic has brought forward for sustenance, stakeholders say, is driving productivity through technology and creativity.
I think the first thing was the fact that we went remotely and started working on technology was very, very key for us because it allowed us to work. Nobody was having to close and go home, so people could just literally work all through. I would wake up at the middle of the night and I'm on my laptop or either reviewing applications. So we are
more partnerships, more innovation, more speed. We need to speed up with innovation. We need to speed up with leveraging technology. We need to speed up with making partnerships and collaborations.
The meeting, which held virtually, had in attendance the U.S. Embassy, FCT Ministerial Enforcement on COVID-19, with the Ventures platform driving the discourse. In Abuja, Ikechukundukwe, NTA News.
And still looking at health, the fight against substandard and falsified medical products and revenue loss through diversion will no longer be a daunting task in Nigeria, as the country has launched its national pharmaceutical traceability strategy that will also improve the regulatory control of the medicines supply chain. Minister of Health Dr. Osage Ihanire inaugurated the steering committee for its implementation. Jabani reports.
The Nigerian Pharmaceutical Traceability Strategy will help regulatory agencies and donor institutions to quickly identify falsified medicines and prevent diversion from the distribution chain. It will also contribute to strengthening the existing regulatory and legal framework required to publish and enforce a traceability regulation and related guidelines. The document is the first step in positioning Nigeria to be a leader in driving traceability of pharmaceuticals in Africa.
The launch of the Nigeria Pharmaceutical Traceability Strategy today demonstrates the commitment of the federal government of Nigeria to improving access to quality medicines and other health commodities in line with the second National Strategic Development Plan.
Effective implementation of the strategies aligned in this document will no doubt go a long way in ensuring efficient and effective management of drugs in the public and private sectors.
As part of the implementation of the traceability strategy, NAFDAC has developed a 5-year traceability plan towards achieving supply chain visibility, which will strengthen pharmacovigilance and post-marketing activities against the scourge of substandard and falsified medicines and medical devices by the year 2024.
The agency has also established Traceability Office or Traceability Desk and a technical working group to drive the activities in the 5-year plan.
Nigeria is the second country in Africa to launch the pharmaceutical feasibility strategy after Ethiopia. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
It's time to join Lanre in our Ibadan Network Center on Security report in the Southwest and other stories from that axis. It's over to you, Lanre.
Thank you, Noleen, and welcome to Ibadan. Nigerians have been urged to synergize with security operatives on issues bordering on banditry and other forms of criminality for prompt action. The Deputy Inspector General of Police, Southwest Zone, Adeleye Oyebade, has assured members of the public of safety of lives and property while on a welcome visit to Ibadan, Oyo State capital. Rofia Animasha Badmus has details.
To ensure adequate security of the general public, the Inspector General of Police, IG Mohammed Adamu, has ordered beef up of security in all the nooks and crannies of Nigeria, with tactical teams put on red alert. Sequel to the above, DIJ Southwest Zone Adeleye Oyebade, while in Ibadan, Oyo State capital, said there is strong collaboration between the police and this community to tackle security challenges in the Southwest.
All the heinous crime that used to bedevil us in the Southwest is being tackled technically, and we are not going to rest on our oars. We collaborate with all other security agencies. Also, with the police getting closer to the people now, the community policing concept is working.
The IG Southwest implored the public to be security conscious at all times and report suspicious movement to security agencies in Ibadan. Rofia Animashan Badmos, NTA News.
About 8,000 vulnerable residents in 4 local government areas of Ogun State have taken delivery of raw food items distributed by a private sector-led coalition against COVID-19, CAR COVID, in partnership with the state government. Adini Taiwo reports that the gesture is targeting at least 1.7 million families in the country to cushion the adverse impact of COVID-19 on beneficiaries.
Survival in Africa's most populous nation, Nigeria, is not easy. Even in the best of times, having a viable support system is a serious challenge for Abel-Ameh Jimoh and other residents of the lepers colony Hansen Disease Center, Iberekudu, Abeokuta. the situation became worse in the last 8 months of the COVID-19 pandemic. The arrival of these raw food items, courtesy of a partnership between Ogun State government and a private sector-led coalition against COVID-19, CACOVID, is a cheering sight and a welcome intervention.
What we are seeing now, it will not less than at least 2 months before every one of us can only say that we want to go out to go and buy something.
Following the flag-off ceremony of the distribution of relief items in Abeokuta South by the state governor, vulnerable residents in Shagamu, Ikene, and Abeokuta North have also taken delivery of some raw food items.
The government to remember us for this thing. I'm very, very grateful.
Special vulnerable groups such as inmates of juvenile correctional homes, people living with disabilities, and motherless babies' home also benefited from the distribution.
You know, nutrition is a very key aspect when you are raising the challenged children, and this will definitely go a long way.
What we have done is to identify the leaders of various groups and for them to give us the names of the vulnerable members. So it's those people that we give for the onward transmission to their members.
Other local government areas in the state are built to benefit from the palliative measure, which targets about 10 million people across the 774 local government areas in the country. In Abeokuta, Adini Taiwo, NTA News.
Nationwide continues after this break. Stay with us.
To upscale your skills and capacities for better productivity, then you need to attend the following courses organized by NTA TV College, JAWS, Archival Management System in the Broadcast Media, date 12th to 30th October 2020. Photojournalism and Photography, date 19th to 30th October 2020. English Grammar and Pronunciation for Broadcasters, date 26th October to 20th November 2020. Protocol Event Management and Public Relations, date 2nd to 13th November 2020. Intermediate Camera Operation Techniques, date 2nd to 13th November 2020. Intermediate Online News Reporting Skills, date 16th to 27th November 2020. The course fee for the 4-week course is 100,000 naira per participant, while the fee for other courses is 80,000 naira only. Accommodation inclusive. Venue for all courses is the serene and secure environment of NTA Television College, near Old Government House, Rayfield, JAWS. For more inquiries, please call 0803-314-4383 or 0806-980-9807. NTA TV College, JAWS, training you to be the best you want to be. A new edition of TV Guide is out, featuring great personalities from all walks of life. Expository interview with a young TV presenter who shows passion on what she does, Morayo Afolabi Brown of TVC. Pick a copy of this compendium of mind-blowing stories and get abreast with issues as regards media convergence, leadership, health, star profiles, star programs, fashion, sports, human angle stories, and lots more. Meet some media professionals within our space who have paid their dues in no small ways. TV Guide, very incisive, very educative, and compelling. Grab a copy at the vendor near you or NTA stations nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
Thank you for rejoining us on Nationwide in Abuja. The Nigerian Air Force says it is procuring 8 unmanned aerial vehicles to be stationed in Katsina, Gombe and Zamfara states to strengthen air component of Operation Hadarin Daji. Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, made this known while on assessment visit on the ongoing fight against bandits in the northwest.
The Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, who was briefed on the successes of the air component of Operation Hadarin Daji, expressed satisfaction with the progress recorded.
And the whole idea is to send the right message to Nigerians that the federal government is doing everything humanly possible to ensure that our communities are safe.
Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar said when procured and fully utilized, the unmanned aerial vehicles would help in consolidating the success of the operations. The Chief of the Air Staff, while reiterating the commitment of security operatives in the fight against bandits and other forms of criminality, said the air component of Operation Hadarin Daji has neutralized many bandits' locations in the frontline areas. He expressed optimism that the fight against banditry will soon be a thing of history and normalcy will return to the affected areas. He, however, called on the public to continue to rally round security operatives to achieve the desired objectives. In Katsina, Shehu Adamu, NTA News.
From Katsina, we take you to Kaduna, where communities in Zangon Kataf local government area of Kaduna State are taking steps to deepen the prevailing peace in southern Kaduna. Muhammad Umar Ajingi witnessed the setting up of a peace-building committee at Chief of Atiap Palace in Zangon Kataf.
Zangon Kataf, a community that has witnessed series of violent crises since 1992, now taking giant strides towards correcting the mistakes of the past for harmonious coexistence among various groups.
1960 up to now, a lot of things have changed, and I want my brothers in Zango to note that.
This initiative is to consolidate on the peace paths earlier signed by the various groups, with members drawn from youths, women, retired civil servants, clerics, Christian Association of Nigeria, and Islamic groups, including leaders of Mieti Allah cattle breeders. The Peace Committee plans to reach out to the larger community to deepen peace building in southern Kaduna, with experts in peace building like Center for Humanitarian Dialogue and Kaduna State Peace Commission witnessing the historic event.
No doubt the whole world is waiting for such an opportunity where such an important chiefdom that has had crisis before, managed crisis before, is setting the pace again.
The time to come when you are not here or when we are not here, when people look back at history, they will pay a glowing tribute to you because you've done something that is worthy of emulation.
On our way from Zangon Kataf, our camera lens caught up with these worshippers who had just concluded a congregational prayer in a mosque in Doka, the kind of congregation that could not hold in the area for years now due to hostilities. The commissioner did not leave the area without words of encouragement to sustain the prevailing peace. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umar Ajingi, NTA News.
The Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Adamu, has condemned the violent attack on policemen and damage to police operational vehicles and other assets by NSAS protesters in Ughelli, Delta State on Thursday. A statement by the force says the incident resulted in the unfortunate death of a police personnel attached to A Division, Ughelli, Delta State. The personnel who was attacked and brutally murdered by the protesters also left another sergeant with serious body injury sustained from gunshot by the protesters. The statement further says that the protesters carted away one service AK-47 rifle with 25 rounds of live ammunition that was with the deceased at the time of the incident. The IGP, who describes the incident as cruel and unwarranted, has warned that the force will no longer tolerate any attack on its personnel or any member of the law enforcement community by any individual or group protesting under any guise. Meanwhile, the IGP has directed the Commissioner of Police, Delta State, to carry out a discreet investigation into the unfortunate incident, root out the perpetrators, and bring the killers and perpetrators to book. Okay. The Effective Water Sanitation and Hygiene Services e-wash project has received a boost in Taraba State with the construction of a 5 million liters of water reservoir on Mount Jalingo. Joseph Zanagambo reports that the project is another phase of the multi-billion naira water source project embarked by the state government.
Governor Darius Dixon Ishaku there detonating a dynamite which signals the official flagging off of the 5 million liters multipurpose reservoir to be constructed on Mount Jalingo.
We are moving away from the mere rhetorics of singing the importance of water to life, but taking the practical steps in making water and sanitation services available to our people.
With the passage of the WASH Law number 7 of 2019 and the WASH policy, the environment has been created for engagements of private sector and development partners for accelerated development of infrastructure and provisions of water and sanitation service in Taraba State.
The base of the reservoir, which has 2 compartments according to Governor Ishaku, will be filled with a restaurant which will provide tourists an aerial view of Jalingo metropolis. Governor Ishaku maintained that it has become imperative for government to restructure the water sector in line with the United Nations recommendation anchored on the following component for efficient service delivery. In Jalingo, Joseph Zanagambo, NTA News.
Next up is a sports update with Bade Adele.
Deliberate revamping of grassroots sports has been identified as one of the key steps towards returning Nigeria's lost glory in sports. Director of Sports, Federal University Duse, Professor Mohammed Abubakar